Hello, welcome to our podcast. I am Yes Ma'am.
I am No Ma'am.
And we are the 9 to 5 Club. We're going to stay anonymous throughout this podcast because
we want to keep our jobs. Hello, people of the podcast.
Hello, POP.
So, it's been a couple of days. We had a lot of drama at work. Wasn't feeling up to it. Kind of killed my vibe on Monday for my Game of Thrones. Because I love my Game of Thrones. So, here's the thing. Game of Thrones is... I am predicting that the throne is going to be Tyrion Lannister, and he is going to be as the regent for the baby of, Jon Snow and Mother of all Dragons. That's what I think. So I think he's going to rule the Seven Kingdoms because he's the hand of the queen. And so therefore he's going to be like the regent or whatever. One of those people, that proxy or whatever. That's my prediction. But I'm very excited. I am very disappointed that it is not the 2 hours that HBO promised us. But that's okay. I'll digress. At least it's back. It took us 2 years to get here. We're here. We had episode 1. It was everything and then some. I was very satisfied. All answers for the last 10 years have been given to us in 1 hour.
Oh, wow. I need to watch.
You need to watch. It is now 68 hours worth of television. It is well worth the 68 hours.
No, I'm just going to do the 21 episodes.
Oh, the cheat sheet, yeah. Yeah, there are some episodes that you must watch. Definitely a lot of them are in season 1 because I set up, the remaining 6 seasons. But, it's moving fast. We are not at a snail's pace in this Game of Thrones season. They are really getting to it very quickly. White Walkers are right next door. There's been some murders. There's been weird sightings again, weird symbols. There's been some spoilers. There's been some shocking information, some confirmations. But it's all worth it. All worth it. I'm all about it.
For some reason, I'm just still addicted to Vampire Diaries, the originals.
Vampire Diaries? What the hell is that?
Oh, Lord.
What the hell is a Vampire Diaries?
There's 12 seasons.
Right, so it's a knockoff from Anne Rice.
Probably. I'm not sure.
Anne Rice wrote the first vampire book. That became a real cultural phenomenon. Oh, God. 35 years ago.
Who wrote Twilight?
Oh, I don't know who she is. I don't know her name anymore. Susan something. We were big Twilight people in our house, too. I like anything with a vampire in it.
Yeah, I'm obsessed now. And I had the choice to watch Game of Thrones from the beginning or continue watching season 5 of the originals, which is sequel to Vampire Diaries.
Oh, I know the little girl in the originals.
Oh, what's her name?
The little redheaded girl?
Yeah.
With the freckles? I know her. Okay, yeah, so I do know the little girl from the originals. I've never watched it, though.
She's good.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, she comes in at maybe season 4, episode 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now it's an older girl 5 years later, and she's in high school. And there's only three hybrids, mom, dad, and then the little girl. I don't know
what the hell you're talking about.
I'm just saying, and then she turned somebody else a hybrid, so now that's the issue. So I'm trying to...
So let me get this straight. So they're not born that way?
No. The only reason why Klaus became a hybrid.
And what's the hybrid? Half vampire or half werewolf?
Exactly.
Half vampire?
Half vampire, half werewolf.
Oh.
It was a spell that he that made him a vampire.
Yeah, that's too
I mean, that made him both werewolf and vampire.
Huh.
And then he had sex with a werewolf. Didn't know that they can get pregnant because, vampires are dead. But the werewolf side got werewolf sperm, got the werewolf pregnant, and then became this exclusive baby. So there's only one of her. And she sold her blood for money to get a passport. That's where I'm at.
Oh my God.
To find her dad.
That's too much.
Klaus, who was like the ruler of all. Not the ruler of all.
Like he's the head.
Yeah, but all the originals can't be killed, but then there is somebody who can kill them that ends up, it's like their friend. But there's a lot going on, but that's where I'm at, where she sold her blood.
I can't believe that you chose that over the most epic of epic shows that has ever come onto the television and has overtaken the world as we know it.
Because I'm so invested in this, I don't want to start. I feel like I'm going to leave that on the back burner.
I literally have not watched a whole bunch of other shows because my time is consumed with making sure that I do not miss a Game of Thrones episode. Like, because some of these episodes do wind up almost 2 hours, Like, the Battle of the Bastards. Like, Jesus Christ, that was the most amazing. Amazing. The Red Wedding, amazing. Like, people, how long ago those were like 5 years ago, and people are still talking about it. Because that's how amazing.
And I heard that these episodes are like $15 million each.
Yeah, they're super expensive because they're shot on scene, in location, with like the Battle of the Bastards was this epic battle between the two houses. And you've got all these people on horses, you've got all these like swords, stuntmen, like the whole shit.
And how much are they making per episode, people watching?
The actors?
No, the show. How revenue are they bringing in?
Well, it's HBO. HBO has said that because of that show, their subscriber base has like exponentially increased. And it's so good now they're coming out with a prequel.
I thought
they're filming a prequel. It's called, I don't know, Before, or I don't know. They're calling it something Game of Thrones. So it's to tell the story of, I guess, the Free People and the White Walker, like how he became that, because you don't know how any of that happened. You see bits and pieces of it, but you don't really fully know the whole story. So it's going to tell the story before that. Like, it's that good that they need to now come out with something just so that they can keep people tuned into HBO.
Gosh.
Because they're so afraid that once this ends, they're going to lose all those people, all those subscribers.
So I'm thinking if they're spending $50 million on one episode, you think they're generating like $30 million?
Oh God, yeah. They're earning they've got to be earning at least 3 times that per episode.
God.
Yeah, I mean, it made HBO a powerhouse, and they were already a powerhouse, but like Game of Thrones is really taking it to the next level.
See, I'm obsessed with Power.
Oh, no, didn't get into it. I'm telling you, I have not been able to get into anything else because my time is consumed with some shows, and Game of Thrones was one of them.
I gotta start soon.
You have to start. I mean, like, Game of Thrones is up there with, like, The Sopranos and The Boardwalk and, like, all those epic kind of shows that span, like, years. It's, like, years.
I Love Lucy.
Like, Sex and the City was years.
I feel like people are so obsessed with I Love Lucy.
I love me some Lucy.
See?
Like, I can get down with some Lucy.
Yeah.
I love Lucy. Okay, so if we're going to go old school, I love Lucy. And I love, with all love, All in the Family. That show will have me on the floor. I fall out every time I watch All in the Family. All in the Family. With Archie Bunker? Please tell me you've seen that.
All in the Family, no.
Girl, today. This is what happens when you work with the millennial people. I do not understand what good quality is. They're talking about weird hybrids, but yet they don't even understand All in the Family. Oh my God. All in the Family.
Google it so I can just see.
You have to Google it. Okay, so All in the Family is important for two reasons. One, it was groundbreaking television back in the day. Because what it did was it brought racism right up front into mainstream society by turning it on its head. So what they would do was they would... so like Archie Bunker, right? He's like he was a taxi driver, and he was an older man, and he would say these things, like he would say overly generalized statements and stereotypical statements about different races, right? And so I think it takes place in like it's supposed to be like the late 60s, early 70s, and so he has a daughter who she winds up falling in love with this guy, and Archie calls him meathead throughout the whole entire show. But they're young and they're like kind of hippified, and so they're like very liberal, and they're always telling him, you can't say these things and you can't do that. But yet he always makes these statements about all these races. But it's funny because it's like, you see how wrong it is, you see how horrible it is, and you see how cruel it is, but yet it's done in a very funny way. Got it. And so his wife, Edith, and he always calls her a dingbat. So like he's cruel to his wife, he always says names, calls her bad names and stuff. But then there are some really sweet, tender moments where like he realizes that like he meets these people from these other races, and he realizes how they're not what he's been told or what he thinks. Yeah. And he realizes that they're exactly the same as him. They have the same wants, desires, and needs, just like he does. And so when things happen to these other races, he winds up becoming the hero and standing up for them and telling them, no, that's wrong. You don't do that, But then, in the same token, he'll go back and say it about somebody else. So, like, it's just like this real kind of like, when you were growing up in those days, there was nothing really on TV that ever really addressed racism and addressed stereotypes or anything like that. And it was groundbreaking because it was one of the only shows that did it. And it did it in a way that you wouldn't think it would, because the whole cast is white. And that's when George Jefferson was introduced. Because George Jefferson, and you know about the Jeffersons, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so George Jefferson moved in next door to him. And so he lives in Queens, and so George Jefferson moved in next door to him, and the son, Lionel, was really good friends with Archie's daughter. And so they would always be over, and so George would call him a honky, and then he would call George some other name. I mean, they never would use the N-word on the show, but he would call him some other name, like colored or whatever, and they would kind of go back and forth at each other, but it was kind of like this friendship that they had, like they loved and they hated each other, and George, and it was because of that show that George Jefferson wound up getting the Jeffersons, because on that show, he owned a dry cleaner, and, it was this whole thing of like, how could this man with this family, afford the same house that I have, like afford what I have. He's not supposed to be able to afford that because he's black. So it was like he went through kind of like this evolution. So you see how you can change people who think like that. Yeah. Just by kind of so it was very groundbreaking.
I'm trying to think of what shows are out right now that are like that.
There aren't any. There really aren't any. And there aren't any kind of real shows that deal with racism in a non-traditional way. Like, they're just in your face today. Like, it's just like, and it is a little bit more of a PC culture. A show like that couldn't be on TV today. Because they said a lot of things that were really like, that were really offensive. But it was funny. It was still funny. Like, it was just done in a very funny, way, not to... it's kind of like how like comedians,
I was just going to say that. Comedians be getting backlash because of the stuff that they say.
But if you can't tackle problems through humor, well then, society's fucked. It's just fucked right now because everything, comedians are supposed to push the boundaries. That's their sole job, is to push the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't push the boundaries, then I don't know, like, the fuck's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that you understand that that's not what's supposed to happen. That just because they do this in their act doesn't mean that that's who they are.
Yeah.
As a person. Like, these are celebrities. These are stars. These people aren't
They're just here to entertain.
They're just, right. That's their job. They're not here, like, to do it, And, like, if you read up about the guy who played Archie, he really was uncomfortable with doing the role. But it became he's just remembered for being Archie Bunker. Mm. And it is one of the best shows that have ever been on TV. And it is such an important part of why we now have some shows that, like, push these boundaries and tackle racism. I mean, they had a successful black man on that show before Bill Cosby. And, and then you got the Jeffersons, which were funny to begin with. Because Hemsley was very funny. But, yeah.
That's all good, but this was, like, started in the 70s,
Yeah.
I was born 89.
Okay, but hello, I mean, it's history.
Like, I know, it says it's on Sundance Channel.
It's on reruns. Like, I mean,
is it on Netflix?
Listen,
Hulu?
I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy was in the 50s. I watched it in the 70s and the 80s. So things get rerun.
Yeah.
Repeated. What is it? Is it rerun or is it repeated?
O'Connor is his name.
Yeah, Carroll OConnor. Oh my God.
He died in 2001 in Culver City.
Yeah.
A heart attack at 76.
Telling you, you have to at least see.
Yeah, there's 9 series. It seems like it
was on forever. And actually, the guy who made that, Aaron Spelling put that show on.
Ah.
So it was a precursor to all his money. He was the executive producer for that show.
Wow.
And that was pre-902. But he was a huge producer back in the days. A lot of shows that were on TV at that time were a lot of Aaron Spelling shows.
He was born in New York, and he served in World War II. That's crazy. Born 1924.
I mean, it's only when I talk to you about these things that, like, you have no idea about, that's when I realize how young you really are.
When I was born in 1989, that's when he had his first heart bypass surgery.
Okay, when you were born in 1989, I was getting ready to graduate high school.
Yikes.
Like, I was probably getting ready and shopping for my prom dress when you were born in 1989. Because I graduated in 1990, so I was in high school. I was a senior in high school in 89. Jesus Christ, I'm fucking old.
You're not that old. You're still walking.
It's just a number, let me just tell you.
You're still walking, talking.
This is true, because I have been 25 for 20 some odd years now. I've been 25 for 22 years, and I'm going to continue to be 25 for another 22 years.
I've been 15 for the past 15 years.
15?
Yeah.
Why would you want to be 15?
I have energy of a 15-year-old.
No, well, you at least want to be legal.
I'm just saying the energy.
Oh, no, I'm fucking saying that. I'm 25. Do you know, I always lied about my age for so long that I forgot how old I really was.
That's what my mom does.
I had lied for so long about my age that I legit forgot how old I was, that I had to ask my husband, how old am I? Because I forgot.
Oh my God.
Because I was always shaving off 2 or 3 years or something like that.
You just gotta look at your driver's license.
Yeah, but then I gotta do math. I ain't got time for that. That's like math. And then that means I gotta get a calculator, and I ain't got time for it.
Oh my goodness.
And then I would get confused because, you know, if I'm looking at my driver's license and I'm doing the math, then it would have me like older when I'm really not older. because I'm born in the summer. So if I look at it now and I do the math, it's still going to say that I am like the age that I am right now. But I technically don't turn that age until the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just ask my husband.
That is wild.
Because like I just forget how old I am. What's today's date?
The 19th?
No, today's the 17th.
17th.
Oh, okay. Tomorrow's podcast, I'll say it. It's my son's fiance's birthday tomorrow.
Ah.
So I'll mention it tomorrow. I thought it was today.
Oh. I'm going to get those birthdays down.
Well, if I don't put it in my calendar, it doesn't happen.
Well, people, that is our episode on Game of Thrones and other shows. Please leave a comment and let us know your predictions on Game of Thrones. And let me know if you watch Vampire Diaries or the original. Because the show is epic.
Nobody's watching that show anymore.
Yes, people are. I feel like people are. But
it's like my daughter now got into the Fosters, and now she's into Pretty Little Liars. I'm like, those shows are over with. Girl, Game of Thrones.
I used to love Smallville. Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord, I can't.
Oh my gosh.
No, maybe it's because I watched all that stuff when it originally happened. Because isn't
Probably.
Smallville about like Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't got time for it. No. I ain't got nobody's time.
It was so good. But I need to watch Game of Thrones with somebody so we can like pause and talk about it.
No, you watch it, then you talk about it. What are you gonna pause it for?
So I could like be on the same page, so I know we both know what's going on.
You're doing too much.
Oh,
just watch.
I heard people take notes on the show, so I thought maybe if I watch.
Well, you do have to. Okay, the reason why the note taking started because once you realize that there's like 500 people involved for this goddamn throne, you had to figure out how to get who all these people were. So to take these notes to figure out who all these people are. But if you're only just going to watch like the cheat sheet of the 21 episodes, you won't need all that. Because the 21 episodes are the pivotal things that happen, and it changes like a character's story arc because of those pivotal things.
Got it. Well, that's perfect. 21 hours.
It's good.
Yep. I will get on that, and we'll report before next. Hopefully, I can watch it all before the next episode.
I hope so too, because at least this way, then you'll know what the hell is going on. Because next week is going to be epic.
Dang.
Jamie showed up.
Who?
Bran was creepy, talking about I'm waiting for a friend. I mean, I can't. It's just too much.
Well, that's my homework.
That's your homework. Make it happen.
Alrighty, people. Thank you for listening.
Alrighty, people.
We will see you.
We gave you a little extra because it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we won't see you, but you will hear from us soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.